Welcome to this explainer. Today we're going to look at something you see literally every single day, but we're going to do it in a way that might fundamentally change how you experience it. I'm talking about the sun. We are so incredibly used to just waking up, opening our blinds, and bam, accepting daylight as a given. In our modern day-to-day lives, we just treat the sun as this absolute, eternal scientific constant, right? It's a giant ball of gas, a totally predictable fixture of physics, just this permanent backdrop to our entire existence. But what if we completely flipped that perspective? What if instead of viewing the sun as this cold, permanent cosmic machine, we viewed it through a deeply poetic, philosophical lens? What if the sun isn't just a physical constant at all, but an extraordinary piece of art that's actually on a temporary cosmic loan? Get ready to shift your paradigm, because we are going to explore a profoundly beautiful interpretation of our solar system center.
Okay, let's dive into this. I want you to visualize a scene in your mind for a second. Imagine you're walking into this elite, world-renowned museum. A curator, wearing those crisp white gloves, approaches a velvet-lined jewelry box. With extreme care, they open it up and bring out this absolutely breathtaking, priceless diamond. They place it on a pedestal, light it perfectly, but it's just for a temporary exhibition. Crowds gather around to marvel at its brilliance, knowing full well that when the exhibition ends, this absolute masterpiece is going to be carefully wrapped right back up and placed securely back into the vault. Now, we easily understand and appreciate this concept when it comes to human art, right? Or jewelry, or temporary museum exhibits. But I want you to take that exact same visual and apply it to the massive, blinding sky right above you. Could our sun be exactly the same thing? Could the sun actually be a temporary masterpiece, carefully unboxed and displayed for a very specific duration, rather than just some permanent, unfeeling fixture of an eternal universe? It's a pretty staggering thought. It takes something massive and makes it feel incredibly intimate.
And this incredible imagery doesn't just come out of nowhere. This profound concept is captured so perfectly by the Islamic scholar Bediuzzaman Nursi in his seminal work, The 10th Word. He writes, "Allah parted the curtains of absence and emptiness, took a diamond-like lamp that illuminates the world from the treasury of mercy, and showed it to us. When the world closes, He will wrap that diamond in its curtains and put it away." Let those specific phrases just sink in for a second. Curtains of absence and emptiness. He is actively disrupting our normal, everyday assumptions of a random, chaotic universe. He's actually framing the vast void of space as a theatrical stage, complete with curtains being intentionally parted. And where does the sun come from? Well, not a random nebula, but a treasury of mercy. It is a deliberate, intentional act by an artist preparing a stage for an audience. He describes the sun not just as burning hydrogen, but as a diamond-like lamp, brought out specifically to be shown to us. And just like that museum exhibit we talked about, it has a definite closing time. When the world closes, the diamond is wrapped back up.
And this brilliantly illustrates the core metaphor we're unpacking today, the diamond lamp. Now, when you or I usually think of a lamp, we think of pure, boring utility, don't we? You flip a switch in your hallway just so you don't trip in the dark. It is purely functional. But a diamond lamp? That phrase changes everything. It elevates the sun from a utilitarian object to a cosmic object of divine artistry. It tells us that the sun doesn't merely exist to keep the planet warm or to make the plants grow through photosynthesis, although, it miraculously does do those things. Rather, it is brought out for a temporary, purposeful exhibition. The text frames the sun not as this permanent fixture bolted securely to the ceiling of the universe, but as a meticulously placed piece of temporary art. It's an object of immense value, and its presence is totally deliberate. It's here to be witnessed, to be marveled at, and to illuminate the world not just physically, but spiritually.
Let's really contrast our everyday perspective with this new philosophical one. Think about our default mindset for a moment. We're conditioned to believe the sun is this eternal, scientific constant that will just always be there. It's a passive backdrop to our busy lives that we take entirely for granted. But then, consider the total opposite. This is the profound paradigm shift the source material is inviting us into. Think of the sun as a carefully exhibited, temporary loaned treasure from a cosmic museum. Notice the massive psychological difference here? That first mindset breeds entitlement. It demands absolutely nothing of us. But this new mindset, it demands gratitude, mindfulness, and awe. Because if something is on loan, it inherently means it belongs to someone else. And if it's a temporary exhibition, well, the time we have to view it and feel its warmth is incredibly precious and finite. It literally transforms a mundane daily occurrence into an ongoing cosmic event.
So the crucial point is that this deeply poetic and philosophical imagery of a temporary exhibited diamond isn't just some isolated literary flourish. It's actually deeply anchored in authoritative historical text. Consider this foundational verse from the Qur'an, from the chapter known as Nibbe, verse 13. It simply yet powerfully states, "We created a shining lamp," directly referencing the sun. Notice how perfectly Nursi's expansive metaphor aligns with this ancient source text. The sun is explicitly described here using this exact same imagery of a lamp. And what does a lamp imply? Well, a lamp implies a maker. It implies an intention. It implies someone who brings the light into the darkness for a very specific reason. It bridges the gap between ancient scripture and this profound philosophical visualization. It completely challenges us to look up at the sky and see a deliberately crafted object, a shining lamp, intentionally suspended in the void for our ultimate benefit, rather than just some cold, unfeeling engine of physics operating on autopilot. It is quite literally a masterpiece on display.
Which forces us to apply everything we've just discussed to our own lives, right now. Up until you started watching this explainer, did you assume the sun would just be there forever? I mean, most of us do, right? It's human nature. But after walking through this philosophical lens, after envisioning the curtains of the universe parting, do you now see the sun as a temporary, loaned gift? Just think about how this subtle shift changes your entire perspective for tomorrow morning. Tomorrow, when you feel the warmth of the sun on your face, or you watch it peek over the horizon at dawn, you might not just see a star. You might actually visualize that treasury of mercy opening up. You might see the curtains of absence parting, and a breathtaking, priceless diamond lamp being meticulously unboxed just for one more day of exhibition. And if the sun is truly just on loan, a temporary masterpiece displayed before the world ultimately closes and it's wrapped away again, how much more precious and beautiful does its daily light become? Thank you so much for exploring this fascinating perspective with me. Until next time, keep seeking out the extraordinary in the everyday.